All right, so we should have our ornaments are now sitting on our cookie sheet. Whoa, they all slide away. Don't stand them upright. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat my oven. So I'm going to go over to my oven, bake. So for these ornaments, we want to bake them at about 300 degrees. So preheat your oven up to about 300 degrees. The next thing that we want to do is think about how and where these are going to hang, because we need to poke our holes in them. So for this one, because my plan is to have this and then these two unicorns hanging from off the bottom. So I need a couple of holes on my rainbow. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find like a center point, and I'm just going to use my pencil and poke a hole all the way through. Make sure that your hole is pretty big. It doesn't need to be huge, but you want it to be a fairly decent size, because it will, as these bake, they kind of puff up just a little bit. So if your hole's too small, it will close it up. Also, depending on what you have at home and available to you to hang this with. So if you have ribbon or like twine or something like that, that might be a little bit thicker, you're gonna definitely need a bigger hole for that. Okay, so I have that. That's gonna be my top hang point. And then I'm gonna put some holes, one like right about here and one right about here as well. If you're using shapes that are non-symmetrical, so shapes that are asymmetric, you want to think about how are they going to hang and where would you want them to be hung from. For instance, if we look at like my unicorn, I don't necessarily want to put a hole right in the middle there because it's kind of top heavy. So you can very gently with your fingers just kind of hold and like pinch and let it fall wherever it's going to fall to figure out where you want to put your hole and how you want it to hang. Okay, so for this one, I probably want to put my hole right about there because that seems to be pretty balanced and it's hanging in a way that I want it to be, because I want it to be kind of hanging from here and looking like they're flying. Why do you keep staring at me for? Okay, so again, I'm going to hold it up, figure out where that center balance is. If I want it to be hanging more upright, I can always put it there, put it here. We want to make sure though that we're staying kind of far away from the edge. We don't want to put it right in on it.
One's going up, going down.
Okay, so that's going to be my hanging hole on that one. Put that down. Okay, same thing. So now this one, right, so this one's going to be hanging up this way. If I want this one to look like they're jumping across like in an arch, then I kind of want this one to be hanging somewhere where it's going to fall a little bit more down. So I got to find that spot. So if I put it too far back, it just looks like he's, like, that's not good. I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on how you feel about unicorns, if you want them to just nosedive straight to earth. But right about here feels like it's a little bit more on that, getting that angle that I want it to get. I know this is like super scientific, guys. When we do like hanging sculptures and like mobiles. You know, the things that like you put on cribs so kids can sit there and look at them and things are hanging down? Mobiles. I don't know. Bro, it's Thanksgiving break. Cut me some slack. So we want to just kind of have a rough idea of where this is going to be hanging. This is the angle that I want it to go. So I'm going to poke that hole right about here. We'll hope for the best. Okay, so again, I want to make sure that that hole goes cleanly through both sides. Okay. As long as you have parchment paper down or tinfoil or one of those silicone baking sheet thingies, the like something against your cookie sheet. You don't need to spray it with anything. It shouldn't stick. You do want to make sure that your cookies or your ornaments, they're not cookies. I mean, they're edible, but they're pretty gross, guys. It was just salt and flour, so I don't know, maybe eat one just to see if you're that bored. But yeah, you don't want them to be touching, right? We don't want them to all be like on top of each other, but they don't need to be that spread out because they're not gonna rise. So once they're all on there, once we're all done, we have everything set that we want to make. We just pop them in the oven for an hour. Check on them periodically. Some of them will bake up quicker than others. And you're basically just waiting for them to get hard. And that's it. So the next video, we'll talk about decorating. All right, folks, so that's it for today. Make good choices, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.